we've been so lucky to have Tobias Nagel with us from Winzerhof Nagel in Franken today. Welcome, Tobias.
Hey, welcome.
Would you start telling us a little bit about the history of your company?
Yes, we are a small winery. I do it with my father together, and it was founded by my grandfather in the 70s. So I think the year was 1972, and it's a really small company here in Franconia near Würzburg. And the plan for the future is to get a little bit bigger. So now it's about 6.2 hectares. We want to do 8 hectares for the future. So we are growing, and yeah, the focus is on the Silvaner grape. Will be more in the future, and other grape varieties are Pinot Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, and Scheurebe. It's also important for us. That's we say the Franconian Sauvignon Blanc.
And for you and your father, are you sharing all the responsibility, or is it divided between what you do and what your father do?
It's divided. So in the cellar, that's I do everything there. So that's my home, and my father is in the vineyards on the tractor. He does that, but the big decisions we we get together. So we decide together.
And for your sake, have you had all your training on the farm, or have you had some wine education as well?
Yeah, I had some wine education at Juliusspital in Würzburg, and in Austria in the Wachau region at the winery Emmerich Knoll, and in Austria in the Burgenland, Neusiedlersee, at the winery Klaus Preisinger. And yes, that's my education in wine.
Cool. How many bottles do you produce in total?
We produce normally 35 to 40,000 bottles.
So talking a little bit more about the Silvaner grape, how do you work with your Silvaner grape, and how do you see it? Do you see it as more of a workhorse grape, or more of a noble grape?
Both of them. That's really cool at the Silvaner grape, that it's the grape can show a lot of type of wine. So you can do a really, really noble wine. So we do it in the Holznagel lineage when it's in wooden barrels, and you can do also an easier wine. But in the end, it's when you check all or you look at all, it's a noble grape. So a grape. So you can do really much things with that. You can also do a sweet wine, a noble sweet, a dry wine which is for everyday drinking, and a really big wine which shows the potential in 5 or 10 years. So that's really cool.
And comparing it to other grape varieties, and maybe especially Riesling, how does it work when it comes to weather conditions? And if it's, for instance, if it's a very, let's take the 2018 was a very warm vintage, how does the Silvaner grape compare to a Riesling in the vineyards?
Silvaner with the heat has not much problems with so much heat, because the berries are really thick, and they don't get sunburned. in really hot summers. So I think it compares better than Riesling to the heat.
And for the terroir of your vineyards, what kind of terroir do you have?
It's here all with shell limestone, and yeah, it's perfectly for Silvaner because the Silvaner grape has not much fruit in the grape, but it shows perfectly on which soil it stands. And here it is with a lot of herbs in the nose and a little bit pepper. So it's really good grape to show on which terroir it develops.
Because it's not a very fruity grape variety as much as
Yes.
it has some very good structures and some herbs and some spices is the sort of typical Silvaner. I know that you're producing 3 different lines of wine. Would you tell us about the 3 different lines that you're producing?
Yes, there's one line which is called Stahlnagel. In English, it's steel nail, and that's that are the wines which we produce for everyday drinking. And the name is Stahlnagel because our family name is Nagel, and the wines are in steel tanks. And here is for us important that is for all the wines that the fermentation is spontaneous, and in this line the wines are for 6 months on the full yeast, and then we bottle. Yes, and then there is one line higher, it's called Ankernagel, and that is a boxbeutel, which is typically bottle form for Franconia, and the wine is a Silvaner, which is the typical variety for Franconia, and we call it Ankernagel because it's our home. It's the anchor in our region. And then there is our premium line, which is called Holznagel, because of the name Nagel, and the wines are all in wooden barrels, in tonneaus, 500-liter barrels, oak barrels, and the oak is here from Franconia. It's from the Spessart, and the wines in the barrels are for 12 or 24 months. Silvaner is 24 months in the barrel on the full yeast, and after this time we bottle without any filtration and really low sulfur, because we want that the grape comes into the glass without any change from us. So the grape should be as in the vineyard, it should be in the glass.
The tonneau, is it older tonneau or is it newer oak?
It's newer and older oak, but to 80% the wines are in older oaks. But every year we get some new oak barrels, and then we did at the bottling cuvée. But I think 70 to 80% the wines are in used oak barrels.
But and is it the Holznagel, is it dominated by oaky character, or is it just more for the development of the wine?
Yeah, it's only for the development. We don't want that when you smell in the glass on the wine, it should not smell of the oak. It's only for the development. Yes.
And the Ankernagel, is that on stainless steel or is it on oak as well?
It's both.
Okay.
It's to at the beginning in 2015 when we started with the new series. It was 50-50%, 50% in stainless steel, 50% in oak, and the 2020 vintage is 80% in oak and 20% in stainless steel. So the oak is getting more in focus in our winery. But there is at the Ankernagel especially there we use only used oak barrels. There's nothing new on it.
And when you're looking for new vineyards now, you said you're looking for Silvaner. Is it going to be Silvaner that is going into these three lines, or are you looking for something to diversify even more to maybe make a new line or something like that?
Yes, we are looking also. We are looking for Silvaner, and especially here is in our region. I think it's Pinot Blanc, which is important for us for our winery, and with Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc. It's also very interesting to work with these varieties here. And then since 2018, we get some old Scheurebe vineyards, which is especially aromatic grape here from Franconia. And on these varieties, we focus on this.
And for the Scheurebe, is it are you going to make it in a sort of very aromatic style that is going to resemble perhaps Sauvignon Blanc in a way, or?
No, we get another way. It's should be not so fruity, and especially we had Sauvignon Blanc too in our range, and the Sauvignon Blanc should be more fruity than the Scheurebe. But in my opinion, the Scheurebe is better than the fruit is not in the front on the palate. Should be less.
Yeah. Okay. But you started talking a bit about the sort of philosophy of your production. You said that you sulfur as little as possible and that you spontaneously ferment. How do you work with your vineyards?
Yes, since 2013, we don't use any fertilized or mineral dünger. And no glyphosate. And since 2018, we are working 100% organic, and we are in the certification now for the Bioland Verband. And I think in 2000 with the vintage 2021, we can print it on the label.
How does the vineyards look? Is it rolling hills, or is it very steep vineyards, or?
We have steep vineyards with 30 and 40% steep slopes, and there are also vineyards on the mountain, which are with no steep slopes. So it's I think 50% is steep slopes here, because at our home here in Dettelbach, the river Main goes around, and here on the hills there are the vineyards.
And you have a small guest house as well.
Yeah, there's a small guest house with 4 rooms and you can make holidays here when it's normal and no corona. Yeah, and it's a really because here the region is very famous to get around with the bicycle. and you can hop from one small village to another small village, and everywhere there are a lot of wine growers and winemakers, and then you can say, oh yeah, let's try here some out Silvaner and check in the next village the next Silvaners. And it's pretty cool because everybody has his own philosophy, and you will taste the different of the Silvaners in the glass.
I'm going to have to try that. I'll show you my T-shirt. So I'm going to have to try that when I'm when it's allowed to go out bicycling again in Germany. To finish off a bit, are you represented in any markets outside of Germany?
No, we are only in Germany. Actually, I was in 2018, the first time in Oslo, the presentation of the DVI, and yeah, that was the first time for me that I tried to get another market for our winery. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
But in 2018, our winery was smaller than now. 2018, we produced, I think, 25,000 bottles, and now 10,000 or 15,000 bottles more. And yeah, so another market is really interesting for us.
Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see your wines in Norway soon as well.
Thank you too. I hope so that the steel nail and the Nagel is soon in Norway available.
Vi pleier å si at det er strukturen som står i sentrum når det kommer til Silvaner. Denne vinen er en Stellnagel Silvaner fra Winzerhof Nagel i Franken, og Franken er jo, som vi kjenner til, hjemlandet til Silvaner. Vinen, den er medium minus lav pluss på farge. Den er klar og har et lite preg av CO2, som er et tegn på reduktiv vinproduksjon. Og på nesen får du en medium intens duft og ganske tydelige sitrustoner, men her er det jo urter og krydder som står i hovedsetet, og en ren og fruktdrevet frisk duft av vin. I munnen har du medium pluss syre, medium mot medium minus fylde, vinen er tørr. Den er ganske frisk i anslaget, og med en gang så kommer det her urtekrydderpreget igjen, og det følger sammen med citrus gjennom hele smaksbildet. Avslutningen, den er lang og syrepreget. En frisk vin gjennom hele smaksbildet, og dette her er en sånn tørsteslukket vin som selvfølgelig går veldig godt til vegetale retter, altså sånn, tenk asparges eller grønnsaksdominerte retter, og til et helt vell av forskjellige fiskeretter, men kanskje ikke de aller tyngste fiskerettene. Og jeg tror at om vinen ikke er alt for dyr, så tror jeg at dette er en knallvin å ha på barkartet eller på restaurantkartet til noe sånn glass å bare drikke av, altså.